One of Sir Alex Ferguson's sons was banned from Manchester United, another is busy saving rhinos in Africa, and the third just couldn't stay off the football pitch. Ever wonder what became of the Ferguson boys? Sir Alex is a football legend, a mastermind manager who won countless trophies, but off the pitch he's also a father of three. His sons Mark, Jason and Darren grew up in the shadow of Old Trafford's glory. Yet their own lives took very different turns. From business and controversy to football and philanthropy, each Ferguson son has a surprising story. Today, we're diving into whatever happened to Alex Ferguson's three sons, and the paths they chose outside their father's towering legacy. Number 3. Mark Ferguson. Was born in 1968, long before his dad's Manchester dynasty began. Unlike his famous father, Mark didn't pursue a career in football at all. Instead, he built a career in finance, far from the roar of the crowds. In fact, Mark became a successful investment banker, carving out his own identity in the business world. By the early 2000s, he was working as an asset manager at the prestigious Goldman Sachs Investment Bank. He even helped oversee his dad's financial affairs from behind the scenes, acting as a trusted advisor in money matters. This meant while Sir Alex was conquering Europe with United, Mark was mastering the markets in the City of London. Growing up with a legendary dad could have opened doors in football for Mark, but he chose a different door entirely. As a young man, he studied and went into banking, shunning the spotlight of sports. According to one report, Mark was so financially savvy that he once even explored putting together a bid to buy Manchester United in the late 1990s. Yes, you heard that right. Sir Alex's own son quietly tried to assemble investors to take over the club his father made great. Nothing ultimately came of that attempt, but it shows how deeply Mark was involved in high-level business ventures while staying completely out of the football limelight. For years, Mark thrived amid suits and stock portfolios. He earned a reputation as a shrewd and capable businessman. His younger brother Jason once envied Mark's financial success, noting that Mark's banking career brought bigger rewards than anything Jason was doing in media at the time. Indeed, Mark's success allowed him a comfortable life away from public scrutiny. He married his wife Fiona, started a family. The Fergusons joke that Kathy, Sir Alex's wife, practically ran a military operation, raising the kids while Alex focused on football. And Mark largely stayed out of tabloid headlines. If you were a United fan in the 90s or 2000s, you might not have even known Sir Alex had an older son because Mark kept such a low profile. But that doesn't mean Mark hasn't made an impact. Far from it. In recent years, he shifted from simply making money to giving back. Mark and his family developed a passion for wildlife conservation and philanthropy. In fact, Mark, now in his 50s, has been investing in saving wildlife. He and Fiona, along with their 4 sons, purchased a large piece of biodiverse land in South Africa's Eastern Cape, not for profit, but to donate it for wildlife preservation. This land lies along the Bushman's River and has been added to the Kariega Game Reserve to protect elephants, rhinos, cheetahs, and more. Mark Ferguson's contributions are helping protect natural landscapes like the Bushman's River Valley in South Africa. Instead of chasing trophies, he's helping ensure real lion cubs, not just football little lions, have a safe home in the wild. Mark's charitable work doesn't stop at buying land for wildlife. He and his family have poured their energy into community and sports initiatives as well. They founded a youth football program in Kenya and support education through sport, combining the Ferguson love of soccer with helping kids in need. Some of the causes Mark and his family support include Little Lions Kenya, a youth soccer project they helped start, using the sport to uplift children in East Africa. Think of it as nurturing future little Rooneys or Ronaldos, but with an emphasis on education and well-being. Grassroots Soccer, an organization that uses football to teach life skills and health education to disadvantaged youth. Grow, a social development initiative that the Ferguson family sponsors, aimed at empowering communities. Carriega Conservation. Of course, their big donation of land to Carriega Game Reserve, expanding habitat for endangered animals. In embracing these projects, Mark has quietly become a philanthropist. He turned some of the success he built in banking toward causes that make a difference. It's a twist no one expected from the son of a football manager. While his father spent decades managing players, Mark is out there managing conservation projects and charities. Sir Alex's fierce determination seems to live on in Mark, just channeled into protecting wildlife and helping kids rather than winning matches. Despite keeping a low public profile, Mark reportedly remains very close with his parents and brothers. He was featured alongside them in the 2021 documentary about Sir Alex, more on that later, speaking about their family life. And after the sad passing of Lady Cathy, their mother, in 2023, the Ferguson family grew even tighter knit. Mark's journey might not grab newspaper headlines, no sensational scandals or football transfer dramas, but it's arguably just as impactful in a different way. Number 2, Jason Ferguson. One of Sir Alex's twin sons, born in 1972, has had perhaps the most unexpected journey of the three brothers. Jason grew up around football like his siblings, but he initially steered his career far away from playing or coaching. In fact, Jason's path has been full of twists and turns, from teaching to television to big-time sports agency and even filmmaking. Buckle up, because Jason's story is a roller coaster. As a young man, Jason tried his hand at normal jobs outside his dad's shadow. He briefly worked as a school teacher, but found it wasn't his passion. Next, he got into television production, thanks in part to a little help from Dad. Sir Alex tapped some friends at the TV network Granada to get Jason an entry-level researcher job. Jason then moved to Sky Sports and rose to become a director of live football broadcasts. For a while, it looked like he might build a solid career in media. However, Jason wasn't fully satisfied. The media job, while exciting, didn't give him the buzz or the big earnings he saw others getting. His twin brother Darren was living the dream as a professional player, and older brother Mark was making serious money in finance. Jason wanted a taste of that action for himself. So, in the late 1990s, he set his sights on a more lucrative arena: sports management. Encouraged by Sir Alex, who had noticed how much money football agents were raking in, Jason pivoted to become a football agent. This was a dramatic move, especially since Sir Alex himself famously distrusted agents, calling them animals to handle with caution. But perhaps seeing an opportunity for his son, Alex helped open some doors. He got Jason a position at a Manchester-based sports agency called Latitude in the 1990s. Here, Jason learned the ropes of player transfers and contracts. And he didn't stop there. In 2001, with a couple of partners, Jason co-founded his very own agency, Elite Sports Management. At Elite, Jason Ferguson quickly made a name for himself, and not always in a good way. His agency started handling transfers and deals for Manchester United players, which raised some eyebrows. In those days, having the manager's son acting as agent for the club's players was a recipe for controversy. Sure enough, by 2003 to 2004, Jason found himself at the center of a nepotism scandal. It turned out Elite Sports represented many United players, including youngsters and even first-team members like goalkeeper Roy Carroll, midfielder Darren Fletcher, and Quinton Fortune. People wondered, were players being pressured to sign with the boss's son's agency? Some critics thought Sir Alex might be giving preferential treatment to those who signed with Jason, or that Jason was profiting from his father's position. The situation blew up publicly. United's major shareholders at the time, Irish businessmen J.P. McManus and John Magnier, were unhappy and pushed the club to investigate these dealings. The result? In 2004, Manchester United banned Jason's agency from doing any further business with the club. It was a striking move to avoid any appearance of conflicts of interest. A club review acknowledged concerns about the connections between elite and Sir Alex Ferguson, and essentially said, "No more." At that point, Jason's work as an agent for United players effectively ended. Imagine being the son of the manager and getting barred from transfers at the very club your dad manages. It was a huge story back then. Jason was accused in the media of exploiting his surname and access. There were even BBC documentaries, one bluntly titled Fergie and Son, examining how he allegedly benefited from being Sir Alex's son. For Jason, it must have been a challenging time. His integrity and reputation were questioned very publicly. Sir Alex, fiercely protective of family, was furious with some of the press coverage, but the club had drawn a line. So, what did Jason do next? Well, he stayed in the sports business but moved a bit more behind the scenes. With United off limits, elite sports likely shifted focus to other clients and events. Jason was involved in organising high-profile charity dinners for UNICEF at United and other ventures, according to reports. However, over the following years, Jason gradually stepped back from the agent spotlight. By the 2010s, Jason reinvented himself yet again, this time combining his sports knowledge with media skills in a creative way. He ventured into film and entertainment production. And here's the twist. In 2021, Jason Ferguson emerged as the director of a major documentary film about his own father, Sir Alex. The film, titled Sir Alex Ferguson, Never Give In, gave an intimate look at Alex's life, career, and even his recovery from a brain hemorrhage in 2018. Who better to tell that story than his son, who had seen it all up close? Jason sat down with his dad to capture raw, emotional interviews, and the documentary even helped heal an old feud between Sir Alex and a former player, Gordon Strachan, a reconciliation Jason gently encouraged. It's almost poetic. Years after the Fergie and Son controversy, Jason found a way to celebrate, rather than inadvertently tarnish, his father's legacy. The documentary was well received, premiering at the Glasgow Film Festival and later streaming worldwide. Jason's name flashed across the screen as the director, a far cry from those secretive boardroom deals. Today, Jason keeps a much lower profile than during the elite years. He appears to have found a niche that allows him to use his storytelling talent and still honor the sport and family he loves, without the conflicts of interest. Number 1. Darren Ferguson. Born in 1972, Jason's twin brother, Darren grew up with football in his veins. He watched Sir Alex rise to fame, and he dreamed of making his own mark on the pitch. Darren indeed became a professional footballer, even playing under his dad at Manchester United, and later transitioned into a career as a football manager. His journey has highs, lows, and a unique pressure that only a Ferguson would know, living up to the family name in the world of football. As a young player, Darren had talent. He joined Manchester United's youth academy, training at the club, while his father was building a dynasty in the late 1980s. Imagine being a teenager at Carrington, with Dad as the boss. It must have been equal parts inspiring and intimidating. Sir Alex gave Darren his first team debut in 1990 when Darren was 18. In the 1992-93 season, Manchester United won the inaugural Premier League title, and Darren Ferguson got a winner's medal as part of that squad. Yes, he can proudly say he's a Premier League champion, even if he wasn't a regular starter. He made enough appearances, 15 that season, to qualify for a medal, often filling in when stars like Brian Robson were injured. Lifting that trophy alongside his father in 1993 had to be a surreal, proud moment. The Fergusons became one of the few father-son duos to win the Premier League together. However, breaking into a team of United's calibre permanently was a tall order. Darren was a midfielder at a club stacked with world-class talent. After a handful of appearances over a few years, Sir Alex made a tough decision in 1994. He sold Darren to Wolverhampton Wanderers for £250,000. It was probably difficult as a father, but Alex treated his son like any other player who needed more game time. In later reflections, It's clear Sir Alex didn't want to be seen as giving his boy special treatment. If anything, he was harder on Darren to avoid accusations of favouritism. For Darren, leaving Old Trafford was a chance to step out of the giant shadow and prove himself on his own terms. Darren's playing career really flourished in the lower leagues. At Wolverhampton, Wolves, he became a regular, making over 100 appearances and scoring some 45 goals from midfield. He was a smart, hard-working player, not a superstar like the Cantonas or Giggs of his dad's teams, but a dependable presence at clubs like Wolves. His best years on the pitch arguably came at Wrexham, a Welsh club playing in the English League system. Darren spent 8 years at Wrexham, racking up over 300 appearances and nearly 100 goals, a remarkable tally, showing he was a key man there. He even became captain of Wrexham, leading them to an FA Cup giant killing of West Ham in 1997. While the global spotlight wasn't on him, Darren earned respect as a solid pro in the Football League. By his mid-30s, Darren started preparing for life beyond playing. And here's where he truly mirrored his father. He went into management. In 2007, while still playing at Peterborough United, a club in England's lower divisions, Darren took on the role of player manager, effectively coaching the team while occasionally still playing. It was an unusual dual role, but he took to management like a natural. Just like Sir Alex had done at St Mirren and Aberdeen in Scotland decades earlier, Darren began cutting his teeth leading a smaller club. It turned out Darren had a knack for coaching. In his first stint as manager of Peterborough United, he achieved back-to-back promotions. He guided the team from League Two up to League One, and then from League One up into the Championship, England's second tier, by 2009. For a club of Peterborough's size, the Posh, as they're nicknamed, reaching the Championship was a big deal. It hadn't happened in 17 years until Darren pulled it off. The town was ecstatic, and suddenly Darren Ferguson was making headlines not just as Sir Alex's son, but as a talented young manager in his own right. A view from the sidelines at Peterborough's London Road Stadium. Darren Ferguson has spent many match days here as manager, leading the club through ups and downs in front of passionate fans. Of course, football management is a roller coaster. After those early triumphs, Darren experienced setbacks too. Peterborough struggled in the higher division, and he was let go in 2009 when the team was battling relegation. He then had a short, challenging spell in charge of Preston North End in 2010, which ended in dismissal after less than a year. It was a learning experience. The same game that brings joy can also be ruthless. But resilience must run in the Ferguson blood. In 2011, Darren returned to Peterborough United for a second stint. And in a fairy tale twist, he led the Posh to promotion once again that season, via a playoff final held at none other than Old Trafford. Imagine that. Darren's underdog team won a crucial match in the stadium where his father had won the Champions League just a few years prior. It was a full-circle moment, and you can bet Sir Alex was watching with pride as his son celebrated on the very pitch that defined the Ferguson legacy. Over the next decade, Darren continued to build his managerial career. He had a respectable run at Doncaster Rovers from 2015 to 2018, earning yet another promotion, from League Two to League One. But it's Peterborough United that has truly become Darren's football home. He's now had 4 separate stints as Peterborough's manager, returning to the club each time like it's a fate they're tied by. Under his guidance, Peterborough has yo-yoed between League One and the Championship. He's become known as a manager who can get a team promoted from the 3rd tier. In fact, he secured another promotion for Posh in 2021. As of today, Darren Ferguson is once again the manager of Peterborough United, competing in League One, and still chasing the dream of taking the club higher.